Hello, everyone. Welcome to Across the Bifrost, the Mighty Thor podcast, where on each and every episode we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. I am one of your co-hosts, Ryan Doze, here for a momentous occasion, a brand new Thor #1. What? We are starting Mortal Thor. We had Immortal Thor, but then he became unimmortal, so now we have the Mortal Thor. #1 hit shelves just a matter of days ago upon you listening to this episode, but I'm going to bring in our cast. We have the full squad here today. Eric, Faz, Will, we're all here. Woohoo! #1.
We #1, but 787 in your heart.
I knew that was coming.
Could be 26 in your heart if that's what you'd like.
Yeah.
I was curious how, like, on Marvel Wiki, they relaunched as Thor Volume 7. I'm like, come on, we know what this is. What are we doing here?
There's a build up. There's a build up to 800, which another group of us who are trying to get ready for 800 by reading a lot of comics. But I think Eric is frozen too. I don't want to go too much, but I think.
Oh, I thought he was just having the best time with that.
I know. He loved my 787 joke. I think he loved that so much he just couldn't take it.
He was overcome by how entertaining our pregame over on Patreon.
Yeah, that's got to be what it was. Listeners, if you want to see why Eric's face was stuck like that, please give us $8 a month or so, and you'll get to find out what the fuss was about. I don't remember what it costs. It costs something.
Everybody, inflation has reached Patreon, and now
or if you're an eccentric billionaire that want to give some money to have us all go to a Comic-Con and do a panel and talk about this live in person, we'll take that too. So
if you're a billionaire, give us enough money that we can do our own Thor movie.
Ryan, is it $5?
I believe it is. We have $1, $3, and $5 USD.
So I think that's where the 8 comes from, because I don't use any of your silly Monopoly money. I use Canadian funds, which is probably 8.
Which is like raccoon pelts, right?
Exactly. It's actually beaver tails. Yes.
Eric, you've come back from the frozen wasteland that was your screen.
I've been reborn as immortal this time. So.
See, everybody, thematically, it all came back around. So we were on a little bit of a dry spell of almost 2 months of no new Thor comics because, wouldn't you know, everybody, I don't feel like this is a spoiler at this point, at the end of Immortal Thor 25, Thor dies. Loki, of course, always Loki, stabbed Thor with a piece of Eric, the Eternity Mask?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it killed Thor, and we're kind of reeling from that now. We're setting a new precedent going forward. I know there was a bunch of different Thor-related things that came out in those intervening months, but we kind of like took a route where we wanted to focus on, Fantastic Four and things around that theme. So we hope you enjoyed Hot Thor Summer. That was also kind of like Fantastic Four Summer, but we're back into new Thor content. I think we've talked about in the past, guys, on the group chat that we might catch up on like the other things Thor was doing, or maybe places Thor showed up in the last few months. I know Loki, Bring on the Bad Guys came out. Hercules is still in that Miles Morales story. Eric, am I forgetting anything where Thor showed up?
I'm trying to think. I think that might be it.
Can we talk about Godzilla versus Thor again?
Thunder Gods. But we're not in the Avengers book anymore. I doubt Thor's going to be showing up in any X-Men books. But
he actually never was in the Avengers book. You're thinking of founding Avenger Beta Ray Bill, Ryan. It's very easy to confuse. But
I knew I was remembering his face differently, longer, more
more horse-like. Yeah.
I was very excited.
That's why his catchphrase was "I say thee nay."
Get out of here! Did you just come up with that?
Oh my gosh! Come up with it. I got dad jokes for days, Eric.
that was the best thing you've ever said on this podcast, and I don't say that
lightly. Okay, you know what? I'll take it. We need that as a T-shirt. A Beta Ray Bill sketch. It says "I say thee nay."
And Walt Simonson can do the sketch for us, and then
I was just about to say I'll message my close personal friend Walt Simonson and see what happens.
Personal friend Walt Simonson. Again, if you don't know what that is, check out our previous pregame 69. Yeah. So everybody, all that long-winded intro aside, we have Mortal Thor #1. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of this issue, I just kind of want to go around and ask all of us, like, what was the anticipation going into this? How did you approach this book after, we were on kind of a little bit of a hiatus there with new stuff? Will, would you mind telling us how you were approaching this new issue?
Yeah, let's just say that I've been doing this comic thing for a while, so it doesn't surprise me that they stop a book and then relaunch it with a new #1. But I am very, 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 very thankful, Marvel, Will Moss, everyone in charge, that you're putting the legacy number up there, because we know we're going to get to 800. It is a new #1, a new jumping on point for folks, but the legacy number is there. And for me, it's like the new creative team. Al is still there. The Al father is still there, but we have a new artist, PASQUAL FERRY, and then Matt Hollingsworth. Is I'm saying that right?
Yes.
Is the colorist who's worked with him before when Ferry was on with Fraction back in the 600s.
And Matt was on Immortal Thor too in the second half, if I recall correctly, when we lost Matt Wilson.
Yeah, I think so. And then we still have Joe Sabino there. So thank you, Joe. But yeah,
Shout out, Joe.
I'm always excited when they have a relaunch to see what's next. But we know it's still building. He's building what he's done before, and he's building up to issue 800, a huge anniversary issue. So what he does over these next 12 issues or so, leading up to 800, will be kind of a fun ride. So I'm there for it.
Baz, what about you? How are you approaching this new #1? You generally get pretty hyped for these like kind of milestone issues, I guess. I would say.
You do be correct. I am very excited. The mystery that's inside of this book has me very intrigued. I want to see how Thor wriggles his way out of this one. And long-term listeners of the pod will know that Hercules and I have been expanding our brains and expanding our knowledge via the Deific Duo's Journey into Mystery: Road to 800. And now that we're almost 400 issues in, we can really see the connections. I can see where Al's going. I can see worlds within worlds. I can see knowledge within knowledge. And I'm really interested to see where it goes. Based on the fact that 800 is only 12 away, I think Sigurd Jarlsson's story is going to be 12 issues long. And then we are going to get something at the end of that, just based on what I'm sure we'll talk about later with Al's little if they be wordy section at the end. But yeah, no, I'm really excited. The cover was all it took for me to say, holy shit, we're so back. Let's do this. And Thor was dead too long. I had to read Superman comics, which are cool, but it's not Thor. So happy to be back.
It's like you had your 2-month honeymoon period with Superman, read all the Superman you could handle, and then we're like, okay, that was a nice little fling I had over the summer. Now I'm back to school.
Honestly, the biggest issue is that Superman isn't like Thor, where you can read it from 1 to 1,000 and it's one story more or less. There's too many stops and starts that I picked off a bunch of the stories. People were like, you got to read these. And now it's like I'm reading the ongoing, but I'm caught up on the ongoing. So like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have
a red cape. You still got a red cape, though.
Yeah.
You got a red cape.
Capes are where it's at, Chilliam. And guys just with godlike powers just trying to do the right thing. That's what it's all about.
Right. It's punk rock.
Yeah. Norse mythology is punk rock. That's true.
Norse mythology is punk rock. That's another t-shirt we need to do. Eric, how did you approach Mortal Thor #1?
This sort of 7-week or whatever it was hiatus has been killing me. It's been so long. It felt like it was the whole summer.
Yes.
And I spent my time hyping up Al Ewing and telling all my friends, now's a perfect jumping on point. You better get this #1. It's sort of like a great, and I was assuming like it's going to be this great, point to just pick up and you're not going to have to know anything. And I was kind of right with that, because it definitely is a change and it's totally different. And I think it's exciting. It doesn't feel like, when they restart at #1, it doesn't mean anything's wrong. It doesn't mean that the book wasn't selling. It doesn't mean that they had like to juice the numbers. It's really, really common for lines to get a new #1 after like 25. Like the Jason Aaron run, I think the highest they ever got was like 25 or 30. That's
25, yeah.
That's the highest that we've had ever since like the Dan Jurgens run. So really in modern comics, that is so typical that it's really a nice restarting point. And Faz, I think what you just said, I think you are right on the money. I think it's going to go to issue 800 probably, and then that just makes a really nice, clean beginning of Act 3. And we can talk more about the letter. The letter in the back was mind blowing, but the issue was highly anticipated, and I've been gearing up for it for a long time.
Yeah, I just to piggyback, I kind of went in with the opposite actual mindset of Eric. I took I told the guys this. I took the last few months off of my regular reading because I just needed a reset. Like my favorite book is resetting. I'm going to take a reset, focus more on the awesome movies that came out over the summer. But then when I think it was Eric sent us one of the previews, and I was like, nope, I'm going to go in as kind of as uninformed as possible, because I didn't want my expectations of a book to then affect my reading of the issue itself. And I would say, I don't know if I was expecting anything specific from the book. I was okay, what is the first kind of like drop in the bucket that Al is going to start to fill the story back up with? And I think we got a drop, but like Eric said, and like I think we would all agree, that letter at the end, I've never read an issue where the letter felt like more of a storytelling device than what we got in the issue.
I disagree.
Yeah.
The first issue of Immortal Thor was the exact same way. Al wrote us another letter that made us go, holy fuck, this is going to be insane.
Wrote us.
Man loves letters, and I love when he writes letters.
Well, I think actually, Faz, that actually is a good point, where he uses the letter section in a way that I don't think most writers do. Like, he uses it as, it's like, hey, dude, don't sell the letter section short, because dude's going to do storytelling in that section of the book too. Like, it's still part of the book, so don't skip past it.
I love how much he gives away in that. Like, in just even in regular issues, when people write in with questions, he answers them, and he's like, no, I was thinking more like this. It's more like this. And it's like, wow, that's kind of important to the story. Like, I'm glad you just, he just comes right out and says it. He's not like, oh, it's whatever, it's open to interpretation. He's like, no, this is what this is, and that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And he's not like, I guess you'll have to find out in 3 issues, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Who will tell you? He just goes, this is what you need to know.
And usually when there's a number one, even in creator owned comics, like an Image, there'll definitely be like a new number one in the back. They're like, hey, this is what inspired me. This is where it came from. And so you get to hear from the creative team a little of the backstory, the origin story of why they created this comic and why you're holding it in your hands. And so I do like it that they've done this a few times with this book and with new number ones, and Al sharing a little bit kind of what he's thinking and where he's kind of plotting moving forward, which I like that kind of how the sausage is made talk when it comes to, because there's so many, if you look at that, like just the opening page of how many people are there creating this 24-page comic, there's a lot of names there. There's a lot of work goes into these things. And so I find that fun.
And we'll dig into the details of that letter towards the end, because it is kind of the last impression we're left with as we leave this new number one in this story. But I'm going to give a overall synopsis of the issue. It was a fairly simple story in this first going for Sigurd Jarlsson, our new persona that Thor is. I'm sure we're going to get those terms intermixed. What happens in this issue is we start off with Thor, Sigurd, in the alleyway. He's got a bloody hammer, and he's fighting a bunch of what we're going to know are these enforcers for Roxxon called the Thunder Gods. So we see him kind of in the aftermath of this fight, and then we immediately flash back to, I believe it's earlier on that day. And we walk through Sigurd's day. He's watching TV, and he sees a professor talking about myths and Beta Ray Bill. In this universe, in this version of Midgard, Beta Ray Bill is their Thor. He is a founding Avenger. We saw that in the last issue of Immortal Thor. Then we see Thor have an interaction with his neighbor, Kristen. They have a conversation while they're walking out of the apartment building. And then we see kind of the Loki persona of this story. And I'm forgetting his name real quick.
They just call him Lucky.
Yeah. Lucky, right. Okay. I was trying to remember if he had a name in the last issue of Immortal Thor or not. But we run into Loki, Lucky, and
we don't know that's Loki. That could be anybody who's using Skald terms and telling tricks and so on and so forth.
That's just
Sigurd's friend named Lucky. It's not necessarily anybody.
It could be an Eternal. Eric would.
It could be Sprite from Eternals. Yeah,
it does look kind of like Sprite.
Yeah, it does. And Lucky tells Kristen a riddle, and of course, the answer to the riddle is lies. Of course,
it could be anybody.
It could be anybody. We go about our day, and Sigurd has a job lined up where he doesn't know really what he's going to do, but he knows it's probably going to be construction work. He goes to this Roxxon. This Roxxon CEO kind of executive character is like, okay, you guys are all scabs because we've got people protesting, and you guys are going to go break the strike. And he's like, that doesn't seem right. And then we're introduced to the enforcers for this Roxxon executive called the Thunder Gods, and they have the symbol of Thor. Kind of they have matching merch for enforcing this.
Tattooed? Are they tattooed on them too?
Yeah, I think some of them have it as a tattoo. But then like one guy has it on his bandana, like he's a freaking Pokemon villain. And
there have been so many memes about them being Team Aqua.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, yes, that's so good. So we see them kind of have a war of words, a back and forth. Sigurd not feeling this is fair, and the guys are like, okay, boss, we'll go rough him up, and they go to fight Sigurd and kind of get him to shut up and leave him alone and kind of get back in line or just go away. And of course, Sigurd beats the shit out of all of them. There are some gnarly hits with the hammer that's not classic Mjolnir, everybody. It's more like a craftsman's hammer, like someone who would be working construction, kind of like a small sledgehammer. And we see them fight, and one of the Thunder Gods ends the issue by saying, like, Thor's on our side, and Sigurd says, no, tell your friends that Thor is coming. And we see this lightning strike behind him and this big dramatic pose of him flexing the bicep at the end. And then we see the name of the issue: No Gods, No Masters. Whew.
Yeah.
Fantastic name for this issue. Guys, would you like to kind of give us your overall thoughts, and then we can kind of give their overall thoughts, and we can just nitpick for a little bit on things we specifically liked about the issue?
Sure, I am in. Like in my beautiful reread of every single Thor comic, I tend to like the street level stuff the least. I like when he's out touring the cosmos and doing things.
Yeah,
but this time, like the idea of him, like, the thing that bothers me about street level Thor is that he's powerful enough to kill Galactus, but he's fighting some guy robbing a bank.
Yeah.
This isn't that. This is just a guy. And he's actually Norse. He's from some Scandinavian country. He's not certain. All he knows is that his name is Sigurd and he needs a job. But the fact that Thor doesn't know what's going on, he immediately gets shocked by lightning, which is hilarious. He gets electrocuted, just like MCU Thor all the time. And the fact that he doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know why he is. All he knows is that he's going to stand up for what is right, and that he's sort of going to be a socialist, which is fantastic. I'm in. I also think this is a good time to mention Pasquale Ferry. I'm really digging the art. I am interested to hear everybody's thoughts on what they're thinking for a street level battle where he doesn't know what's going on and he doesn't know really what's up. I like the looseness of the lines. It kind of fits the vibe of Thor trying to figure things out. And I would expect that for this story, that's a good match while he's trying to figure things out.
Yeah, I'll chime in. I do like Perry's Ferry's art. I do feel like this one was a little muted, and I was like, oh, is there something different here? What's going on? And I went back and read Fraction and Ferry's run or art, the first couple episodes, and it was a more cosmic scale. A lot of different creatures, a lot of different realms, a lot of different, like, it was a wider cosmic scale. So I think it makes sense for this issue. If you're gonna make it street level, this is the way you're gonna do it. While when there's this fight, I mean, it doesn't hold back when there's people's literal face smashed in by a hammer. So I did like it. There's a handful of Thor stories that you can tell, just like there's a couple X-Men stories you can tell, whether it's future or past or Magneto or a baseball game among mutants. Thor has the wide cosmic, they have Ragnarok, and then you have street level, what makes a god, what makes a myth, what makes a legend, and they kind of address that at the beginning of the issue, and then we have a ways to go with this guy and what he stands up for. And so I enjoyed it. I think it was a good reset, and I do like the art, and I'm looking forward to see what unfolds next. I do get the take that, wow, it's a new number one. Let's wow you. Let's hop in. There's gonna be new readers. Let's blow them out of the water because we got a new book here we want to sell. But what Al's doing and what he has done, it makes sense for this issue the way he told the story.
Eric, what about you, man?
Overall impression, I think that as a new number one, I think that it really takes a turn, and I think the violence is going to like almost shock people and be like, maybe that's like a hook of like, wow, I was not expecting this in this book. And what I really am liking so far is the mystery of it all, and the like, I want to know how this works. How does the Beta Ray Bill thing work? How does the Thor thing work? Is his soul inside this? Is his soul piggybacking with this human soul? I want to know how, like, what are the rules of this and how it's going to unfold. And the character exposition of this is fascinating, because this is not Sigurd Jarlson from the 80s. That was just Thor in disguise. So this is truly like a new character, and we're learning a lot about him. He's the kind of guy that's going to give a speech when he doesn't think something's right. He doesn't just walk away. He's like, no, I'm going to take a stand. And the guy's even like, thanks for the speech, asshole. Like, we didn't even need that. But he also is willing to break people's faces, and he fights dirty. He's going to knee a guy in the crotch. So yes, he stands up for good, but he's fighting dirty. He also has this optimism of like, he's not really that bothered by the fact he doesn't know who he is. He's going to go get a job. He's looking for honest work. He sort of has this like, it'll all work out kind of attitude, which I think is nice too. So it's just a real interesting it doesn't feel like a cookie cutter stereotypical character. It feels like there's some interesting bits to it that hopefully we can tease out and learn more about this, again, like this brand new character essentially.
I like it that his neighbor is kind of like the placement for us. She's like, it's probably not going to work out very well, dude. Yeah. So she's speaking for us, going like, you don't remember things, but you're willing to go to this like weird post about having a job.
You read about it on a phone poll, and you're going to show up at a warehouse. Dude, like, come
on. What are you doing?
You're going to get mugged, man.
so am I right that, like, since Midgard is separated from the other realms, so it's a different timeline, so they don't remember it in a way. So that way, in this version, Beta Ray Bill is a founding member because they don't know much about what's going on. Because I would love to see that team. I hope the Avengers show up in this book somewhere with Beta Ray Bill and whoever's on that team. I'm really hoping, like, in 5 issues, the Avengers show up with Beta Ray Bill. I would love that. But
I'm really interested.
Where's the separation there of the memory of the world that he's in versus, because they still know who Thor is because they're wearing his rune as merch.
No, but they only know the Norse god Thor, like from the Eddas. They don't know Marvel's Mighty Thor, right? Like I want to see if Jed McKay does a Beta Ray Bill cameo in the Avengers run, and then everybody goes, "Oh yes, founding Avenger, Beta Ray, nice to see you, buddy."
That's what they need to
everybody,
because this is not a separate timeline. This is Scald magic to rewrite history, and so if this is a story in and of itself, then I think that's how it plays out. And I would love to see pieces of that show up in other books and probably confuse the hell out of people to be like, we don't know who Thor is, and Beta Ray Bill shows up as an Avenger. That would be great.
And then get a little star that says, read what Al Ewing's been cooking if you want to know what's going on, and they can go and jump into the book that way.
Yeah. You guys come to our book. We don't always have to go to your book. God damn. Eric, what did you, I think Faz brings in an interesting question. What did you think about the fairy artwork in this first issue?
The fairy artwork for me is a little too sketchy. I like a nice solid sort of ink line. That's just my style preference. And so it definitely looks dynamic. It looks gestural. It has an economy of lines where you have, as few lines as possible to get a facial expression across. And I think it's succeeding. It's communicating what they want to communicate. But to me, I'm the kind of person where I like to have a panel that's so detailed and complex that I like sit there and stare at it for a minute and really soak it in. And this is more of like if you're flipping through the pages or if you're reading it quick, you get the gestural and the action and stuff. But if you zoom in on it too much, it starts to look like, okay, that looks like it's a little sketchier than I like.
Yeah, I think upon my first read, I don't know if the artwork really jived with me on the first read, because it's such a dramatic, not dramatic. I view it as a departure from the artwork that I've loved on Thor previously. And that's my fault. Being, someone who's, attached to, the way it was in the good old days, 10 years ago. And
I also blame you, Ryan. Yeah.
Yes. And I think the loose lines, like I may have had a different interpretation of that, Will, than it being like a representation of how like loosey-goosey things are in Sigurd's world right now. Most of the time, I kind of prefer more like clean cut lines, strong inking, and a little bit more vibrant colors. I know that's not Pascal's part of the process, but I'm not like, I did not dislike the art. I think towards the end of the issue, that fight scene in the alley, his style really lended itself to the hammer strikes. And like when Sigurd caves in that guy's face, like it really came across viscerally. And I will say the alley fight was my favorite part, because I think the narrative of the issue and the art sang more for me. That's my kind of my thought on the art right now. In a few issues, I may be like, oh no, I totally see what's happening here. And sometimes, I mentioned this to Faz the other day, sometimes I just need some time with art I'm not used to really get behind it. And I think this might be one of those cases, but definitely don't hate it. I don't, I'm not, I'm not going to pick up this book anymore. It's like, well, adios. I think with this issue, though, my one thing I incorrectly went into it expecting was we're going to get a bigger splash. And really, this issue is a reintroduction to Sigurd, telling us where this character is right now, and using it as like a chapter 1, scene 1. Here's the world that our character is in now. Mm-hmm. And we didn't get any of Asgard. We didn't get any of the other parts of the world that we know are still out there. Like at the end of Immortal 25, we understand Sif and the rest of the Asgardians are struggling with what happens now. But we didn't see any of that in this issue. We are hyper focused on Sigurd. And I like the street level. I really, really like street level Thor. And especially the street level Thor who's like I'm going to beat up 4 guys in an alley, and I am not exactly worried about, being virtuous and, upstanding about it. I'm kicking dudes in the crotch and I'm hitting them with hammers straight square in the face. I kind of like when Thor takes the reins off.
Yeah. And the symmetry of the issue, like the opening page is really the last page of who the hell are you? And that's the question that we're asking. We're asking through this issue. It's not answered yet, but who the hell are you? And the end, it has this kind of almost like the movie Tombstone, where they're like, tell them the storm's coming. Like he's looking at them to tell them that there's a storm coming. Thor's on the way.
I love the movie Tombstone.
I love Thor. I'll give you Thor, motherfucker.
That's right. You want Thor? I'll give you Thor. So that's where my mind immediately went, and was like, I don't know if that's intended or not, but that's exactly where my mind went with the issue.
Now, interesting question for you guys: do you think he brutally murdered the bearded guy? Because I don't think he did. Well, look at that initial splash page, though. The first panel, the guy's head is fine; he's just bloody. Versus like the shots of him getting hit with the hammer. He's got a big hole in his head, obviously, but I think he's alive. I think he's just KO'd.
I honestly, KO'd might be the best case scenario for that guy.
No, he shows up next issue with just a full face bandage, not even an eye patch, but just a full face bandage. He looks like Arseface from Preacher is what he looks like.
It looks like his ear went flying. When on second live, at first I thought he took his head off, but on closer inspection, I think his ear is going flying, but his head is still on. But the guy reacts, he goes, you just, and that makes it sound like you just killed him.
Oh, yeah.
We will see. Issue 2 will reveal all, which we have to wait an entire month. I thought maybe we'd get an early September release. We are not. We're getting a late September release.
Woo!
All right. Can I talk about some of my favorite little
Eric,
gold nuggets?
Heck yeah, brother.
In a way.
So Hercules confirmed. Hercules is alive on Midgard because Eric Teller says, or in the interview they say, and in the case of Greek gods, they just turn up. And he goes, yes, when someone calling himself Hercules can lift a bus, it's persuasive. And then their only room for doubt there is to say, now there was that alien that had, mythological traits, like Beta Ray Bill was like sort of had attributes of Thor. So they're like, maybe they're saying maybe this Hercules guy is an alien that just is impersonating a Greek god. Yeah. It's like, no, Hercules is in the book and we're going to see him again. So that makes me happy.
Leave it to a guy named Eric in the Thor world to bring up Hercules. It's just the kind of thing you can always see coming.
Yeah.
Eric T and his Hercules.
Eric T.
That's right.
The other thing that I liked was the henchman's dialogue was so great. It felt very 90s, but it's really hard to write henchman dialogue and have it not come off super cheesy. But you got a big mouth, Swedish fish was like great, or like keep it zipped right into a body bag. Like it's
Karate Kid, baby. Karate Kid.
Yeah, it's the bad guys in Karate Kid. Like that's what it reminded me of. It was great.
Oh my gosh, it's the banter was strong. I agree with Eric. It was really strong. Faz, do you have any other spots you wanted to highlight?
I think I really like what Eric said about how easygoing, and I think Will might have said this too. Thor he's just vibing. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't know why I'm doing it. I'm here to have a good time, and based on Al's letter, probably not for a long time, but he's here for a good time, and we'll see how it goes.
Are you intentionally quoting George Strait at me?
I do everything intentionally. I'm the all Fazer. I may be the mortal Faz, but do I not still control the Faz force, Ryan? Come on now.
Well, is there any specific aspects that you're hyped about?
I love that, and some some level it is street level, but then, it's one thing to punch Nazis or neo-Nazis, one thing to smash their face in with a hammer. So it's like it is leveled up in that way, that we're not just fighting or punching neo-Nazis in the alley, we're smashing their face in. So that was something heading that way, and his neighbor Chris was right. Right.
So speaking of Chris,
I can't wait to see what
the love interest that Al was teasing. Do you think she's the new love interest?
We could. I think she showed some care, and if he heads back to the apartment with his blood on the hammer, I wonder if she's gonna be like, "Oh, how do things go at the warehouse?" How
was work today, babe? Good. Yeah,
we're good. You're good. Did that all work out? Did you get paid?
My god!
How many people did you kill? It's unclear. You'll find out next month.
I don't remember.
Anywhere from 0 to 3, depending on how they want to play it.
Thornesia.
They asked Thor, how many people did you kill? He's like, count the body bags. Oh, guys. This letter at the end. Does anyone want to take a kind of an overview look at this? Because there's a lot stuffed in here, but then it kind of repeats itself a few different times, where Al Ewing's almost reset. He's resetting his precedent every time. Faz, I see that hand.
So this is what I love about Al Ewing. He told us this story is going to be a story about stories. And then we get this letter that explains, this is Thor 1. This is also Immortal Thor 26. This is also Thor 787. This is also another ode to the Norse god Thor as told in the Eddas for thousands of years. And it's also the first story of Sigurd Jarlsson, which we will tell in full. Al operates on this level where the stories on stories and the connections to everything that came before and everything that will come afterwards is just so much there that I can't help but get hyped. And like Eric said, he dropped like 50 incredible nuggets in this one-page thing about where we're going. Hercules, you want to tell us some of the things that Al foreshadowed for us?
Oh my gosh, he's telling us that it's a 3-act overall story. So Immortal Thor is not just a 2-act, before and after. It's a 3-act thing. And now we're wondering, well, how long are each of the acts? Does this mean that Al Ewing's doing 75 issues? Or are we going to get to 800 and then finish it off? Or
he said he's mapped up to 100 if he wants to. It just depends on how long he wants to go, right?
Yeah.
I would love for this to go 12 issues and then issue 800 start the 3rd act. I think that would be brilliant.
I agree.
That's what I'm hoping.
Okay.
One whole year of Sigurd too would be really interesting.
Now, do you think in that span will we just be getting Sigurd, or will we at some point glimpse what's happening in the other realms?
We're absolutely going to get Tales of Asgard. He says it right here. What will become of them? What tales of Asgard will be told?
Guys, the Mortal Thor issue 4 is literally set around Magni. We're going to get a lot of detail on what happens. Yeah, we will. So we're getting
Sigurd, but not only Sigurd.
Right, he's everywhere, man.
We're just getting him front and center. I like the part where the first part of the letter I think is interesting for comic book fans specifically, to be like, oh, Al's got this connected, man. Like he's connecting his story to his own story, and then he's connecting his story to every other story that's been told in Marvel Comics since 1962. It's the next little paragraph that kind of gets the mega nerd in me, like really excited that there's been thousands of tales of the Norse God of Thunder. And, it's present day in prose, in poetry, in cinema, and in comics. So, yes, he's viewing this through the lens of a comic book medium, but he's also looking at the wider scope of telling stories about this character. Yeah. Like that to me is kind of like, how many, you can't actually.
Maybe he'll reference DC's Thor.
Oh God, I hope so. They are doing Marvel DC.
Simonson referenced Superman at one point. He references Clark Kent.
Clark Kent is in a Thor comic, everybody.
And it is like, you know, for old timers like me who are like, all right, you jaded, skeptical fans who think this is just a cash grab with a new number one. Guess what? It's all connected. There's legacy number. There's just the second act. There's going to be more. It's all told together. So it's just like my cynicism of just another cash grab number one, you know, issue. We put number one on the front to sell books, but it's the way you market and you do things, and but it's connected to a larger thing. Not just 787 issues of comics, but also cinema and poetry and art and the eddas, like all that's connected. And I love that he has the grand perspective and the wide range bird's eye view, the raven's eye view of this whole thing.
Well, and it's also like the last paragraph is the paragraph that made me essentially yell out, "Let's fucking go." He talks about where we're going with Sigurd. He talks about a hero with no powers, no lineage, not even a memory, that he's beginning this story. It's going to turn sharply in the middle and end with an inevitable tragedy woven by uncaring fates, and that he's a man who walks the road of a god and pays a terrible price. So we aren't getting the Thor's going to slowly become powered up to the point where at the end he's just regular Thor with his memories back and the Odin Force, but now he's learned to be a better person.
Yeah.
We're getting Sigurd's whole story from start to finish, and it's not going to end well for Sigurd. And I'm interested to see what that means and where we go.
I want to know.
Go ahead, Eric.
I want to know, you know, if he's basically saying, well, these guys have a belief in Thor, or even maybe Thor worshippers with their tattoos, and he's sort of saying like, I'm going to embody, you know, what it means to be Thor. The guy is, you know, kneeling on the last page in front of Thor, who is glowing orange. I don't think Sigurd's going to turn into Thor, but I wonder if he's going to kind of like play up the myth. I wonder if he's going to play up the urban legend of, hey, the rumors start spreading around town and there's whispers of there's a Thor, and I wonder if people are going to come check that out. I wonder if, you know, the Hercules or Beta Ray Bill are going to be like, oh, we heard there's like a Thor character over here. And I kind of feel like that myth of Sigurd role playing as Thor it might be enough to restart the Thor myth and give Thor like a story soul or whatever he needs to come back with, like Scald magic. He needs to get his like God soul back, because he has a human soul right now, basically. Yeah.
So it's interesting with the conversation on TV with the professor, they're talking about how are legends and myths made. So that makes complete sense that like there's a legend getting ready to be laid out. There's a myth that has its origin story right here. So that's interesting that you say that, like, yeah, is this the start of his myth, his origin? The rumors start flying. They start talking in the streets about this dude who has a hammer with lightning flashing behind him. Could it be the real Thor or not? That would be great if they're like, they think he's Thor. And then Beta Ray Bill shows up and like, wait a minute, who are you, dude? What's going on? That's who I'm pulling for. That's what I want to see.
just like Al reiterates in the letter, let's begin again. Like this, I think that is one of the cool things about this letter, and because I think it's emblematic of how Al views this story. Like, instead of being a creator that's like, yeah, that last volume you read, like, ignore it. Like, he doesn't. He does the fan a courtesy of not ignoring where Thor has been. He's just redefining where Thor is going. And I appreciate that. I applaud that. The little kind of solicitation for next month's issue, actually later this month's issue, according to Faz, where we're not going to have to wait too terribly long. Or
the listener's not going to have to wait. We have to wait. The recording is before September. Yeah.
But the solicitation for Mortal Thor, I'm going to have to train myself on that one.
Just remember the shockingly mortal Faz, not the immortal Faz. It's easy. Yeah.
The shockingly mortal Faz. he's excited for Mortal Thor #2, and I'm going to read you just the solicitation here, and then we'll just go around real quick, round robin style, and we'll wrap up with some of our thoughts going forward, but what we think is going to be in the next few issues. Who is the man called Thor? The thunder gods were hired to teach a simple lesson: make trouble for Roxxon Construction, and they'll make trouble for you. Now somebody's targeting the bike gang where they live. Somebody who won't give up. Someone calling himself Thor. Somewhere in the city, a man with a hammer is getting to work. Like, this is like an 80s action movie. It's like there's biker gangs and there's, street violence, and it's like, I'm getting to work, man. It's like, this is a Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. It sounds like number 2 is going to be. Eric, what forecast for us? Answer all of our questions for number 2.
Well, I think one of the things I'm thinking about, if you came into this as a new reader picking up a new number 1 thinking, do I have to know anything going into this? The answer is kind of no, you don't at all, and kind of yeah. And I think that's kind of what we're kind of in balance here. And I think issue 2 and 3 are really going to show us how much are we going to be learning, or are we going to be staying in the we don't know what the hell's going on realm for a little bit longer. I'd be fine with, we want to experience that amnesia a little bit along with Sigurd of like, what the hell has happened? Like, what's my role? Who am I? That kind of thing. But I think we need to start picking up some like pieces of like, where's this going? That's what I want to know. Where's like, what's the major catalyst here? There's this Roxxon Construction, but that doesn't seem like a big enough bad for a 12-issue arc. Like, what are we driving towards? So I'm hoping to see more seeds planted for what the main conflict with Sigurd is going to be.
How long does Thornesia last? I think that's my main question.
Well, what do you think? And I wonder if Asgard's going to be, pulled into this, because they're trying to solve a mystery too, and what's going on at some point, a part of that. And I wonder if Sigurd and Donald Blake are ever going to hang out together in a lost breath somewhere.
And I wonder if Doctor Strange and Angela can do anything to help, because that's the new Doctor Strange book is launching, and he's still in Asgard, and he's teaming up with Angela. So there's going to be a lot more of Thor's world that we see through that book.
And Derek Landy is writing that one, correct, Eric?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We were all big fans of what Derek Landy took, where he took Steven narratively. That book's going to be something to watch.
I hope it's just as funny. I hope it's hilarious. Like,
oh my gosh,
it's definitely going to be, right?
He nailed the dynamic. It was so good. I think maybe for a little while there, like that was, if Thor hadn't been around, like that would have been my favorite Thor book. That was a pretty good Thor book for Thor not being in it a lot. Faz, final thoughts, and maybe going forward into issue 2. What are you expecting, theorizing?
I'm ready for this ride. I like Eric's theory. I buy into it that through the power of belief, he starts creating the mythos of Thor. And there's been lots of times where in Marvel continuity, gods only exist when people believe them to exist, right? So I could see Sigurd's actions resulting in Thor being reborn, in the sense that his legacy gets brought back by people believing in him. And I think that would be very fun. I'm excited to watch some neo-Nazis get hit with a big ass hammer. That's one of my favorite things to do.
It's up there. It's up there, my favorites.
This was an old school Facebook profile. That would be one of your top 5 hobbies, Faz.
One more thing on that topic, actually. I read a comment section about this issue, and I saw someone very angry that this was a liberal's fever dream because he was hitting all those poor workers working for the company. And a number of people underneath it were like, you realize they're Nazis, right? And they were like, does anybody deserve to get hit by a hammer like that? It's like, yes, Nazis do, actually. Let's not forget that. Yeah. Those are like the one people we could all agree do deserve to be hit with a hammer, actually.
That guy reads Captain America comics and roots for Hydra.
Yeah. Or at least thinks that they should be nice to Red Skull. He's just a guy with a different opinion, What happened to free speech is what that guy says.
Go easy on Johan.
Yeah.
Everybody, thanks for checking out Mortal Thor #1. we're beginning again here on our road to 800. We got a few different things planned for this road to 800. Eric and Faz are not slowing down anytime soon. If anything, we might need to slow them down so that we can. You guys don't finish like right up till 800 is ready. We still have guys. We still have Dan Jurgens.
Don't forget, we're still journeying into Jurgens.
Thank you for saying it that way and not the way we say it on pregame. So I'm sure we'll get back to Jurgen soon. Faz just got back from Macon where he met kind of like Thor royalty again.
Everybody Ryan loves, I met.
Yep. All of my he got a Thor sketch that I won't spoil who it's from, but he got a Thor sketch that may have been the piece of Thor art I'm the most hyped about right now. And it's just never going to be in a book. We have a bunch of those other books we mentioned at the beginning. We might do a catch up. Like, there's a lot of different ways we can go from here as we continue on in our Immortal Thor journey, our road to 800, our journey into Jurgens. But needless to say, everybody, we don't have a loss of Thor stuff to talk about. Hot Thor summer continues, at least for a few more weeks. But thank you very much for everybody listening. Thank you for all the guys checking out this. We weren't going to get all four of us for this issue. And it kind of just like happened that we were all here. And Faz, do you think it's fair that we tell people kind of the guests we're lining up, who we've got?
Nope. We don't need to tell anybody. Just know that just know that I think that he is a pretty he's a pretty ultimate guest for us to get. I would say that he will help us avenge some guests in the past. I would say that he's pretty good at helping us edit together a podcast, and that's all we'll say. Other than that, no more details can be given about who's coming up next.
It's Faz's subtlety that I appreciate about
I think it's going to be a good interview. I really think it will.
Hello, everybody.
One L. Will with one L.
Oh my goodness. We have some fun stuff planned for you. So if you want to support the podcast, please click the links in the episode description. There's links for Discord, Instagram, Patreon. There's a pregame that's going to be coming out with this episode, and it was a hoot. Like I was telling the guys, I feel like we inadvertently save a lot of our best stuff for pre-games. And really, we're loose. We're trying to get into the mode. We don't have a specific game plan yet. And I'm not going to lie, the four of us together, pretty fun hang.
It's worth $8 Canadian a month, I would say.
Or however many squirrel tails that equates to. I don't know what the transition rate is.
Worth a pair of combat pants.
Disposable combat pants. Get on board, everybody. But everybody, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you're at, no matter if you wake up and you don't really remember a ton about life, but you got to pay the bills. You're going to go to a warehouse and hopefully get a job, not get mugged. If you're trying to help break a strike, if you are fighting guys in an alley,
if you're helping break a strike, we don't want you on that side. We want you team strike. Yeah.
Yeah. We're
support.
This episode is going to be coming out on Labor Day. Pro labor. People should have jobs. No matter what is going on in your part of the 9 realms, we just hope you remember to stay worthy.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
Thor's a punk rocker, yes he is.